What happens when you put the Broad Street Bullies of Philly up against the league's greatest franchise ever, the Montreal Canadiens? You get fireworks every time. Montreal versus Philly, Game 4 review coming up with Open Ice Hits with Scotty 2 Hockey. Go Habs, go baby! What's up, guys? It's Mr. Mediocre himself, Open Ice Hits with Scotty 2 Hockey. Super excited for tonight's game. Let's talk a little bit about how this playoff series has gone so far. Philly's up 2-1, 2 games to 1 against the Montreal Canadiens going into Game 4. Let's do a little bit of a breakdown how they stack up against each other so far going into Game 4. Besides Game 2, it's been a very close series. We had a super close Game 1, a super close Game 3 where Carter Hart had to post a shutout to get the win, and Game 2 was an absolute blowout and domination by the Montreal Canadiens. They did it for Claude after he had a heart attack, and they did it for Kirk in his first game coaching as a head coach in the playoffs for the Montreal Canadiens. So let's get into this. In Game 1, the Habs lost a very close game, 2-1. Carter Hart, in my opinion, was the deciding factor. He was absolutely stellar in that game, posting a .964 save percentage and stopping 27 of 28 shots faced. He made a huge glove save on Nick Suzuki in the last minute. It looked like it was about to go top corner. Hart got that glove up there and stopped it literally in the last minute. That was the Habs' last really good chance in that game, their last push. Hart was just too much to overcome. The Habs scored their first power play in that goal as well. Jesperi Kotkaniemi scored a goal, or Shea Weber scored a goal, assisted by Jonathan Drouin and Brendan Gallagher. And then in Game 2, it was absolute domination. What do I have to say about Game 2? The Habs won the game 5-0. KK and Tatar both had 2 goals apiece. And Alain Vigneault was pissed off after the game because Montreal played a lot of their good players at the end of the game on the power play when Alain Vigneault felt it wasn't necessary. But I understand why Kirk Muller did that. He wanted to get the Habs more power play goals. He wanted to build confidence in what has been a terrible power play all year. And also in that game, Carey Price was phenomenal, posting his second shutout so far in this postseason. He also shut out Pittsburgh in their 5-game playing series. And then we go into Game 3. It was a very good defensive performance by both teams. Both goalies were absolutely solid, and the offense just wasn't there. Montreal did outchance the Philadelphia Flyers in that game, 23-20. It was a tight physical game, but once again, Hart was stellar, and in my opinion, was the deciding factor in that game, shutting down every opportunity Montreal had to score. And when he didn't, the post was there to save him. The Habs hit the post 5 times at least in that game. I counted 5 times personally. It may have been more. And Jesperi Kotkaniemi alone in one period hit the post twice on 2 shots that looked like they were for sure going in. So Carter Hart, the post, and solid Philly defense was the deciding factor in that game. Hart got his first shutout of the playoffs, so good for Carter Hart there. But the Habs are taking them out tonight, in my opinion. I'll get to my prediction at the end of the video. The Habs scoring leaders so far in this playoffs shouldn't be no surprise to anybody who the leading scorer is. Yes, he's a defenseman, but we all know he's a beast. And in the playoffs, I expect nothing less from this guy than to step up his game. Great players elevate their game when it counts the most, and Shea Weber and Jesperi Kotkaniemi as well are prime examples of this. Shea Weber in 7 games played has 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points. He's a +6 with 1 power play goal and 18.8 shooting percentage and an average time on ice of 25 minutes and 18 seconds. On the site I was using, I couldn't find his hit stats. I couldn't find how many hits and blocks he had, but I know he has a ton of hits in this playoffs. Jesperi Kotkaniemi is the second leading scorer. In 7 games played, he has 4 goals, 0 assists, 4 points. He's also a +5, looking very good defensively, looking very sharp, battling to get to the front of the net. Took a few bad penalties in the last game, but what can you do? I don't think he was expecting that stick to come up on Nate Thompson, and the fact that he drew blood with it to get the 4-minute penalty was pretty bad luck there. He has a 44.4% shooting percentage, and he's taken quite a few shots, and he has over 25 hits in the 7 games he's played. So Jesperi Kotkaniemi is turning it up, and he's done this playing only 14 minutes and 4 seconds per game. Compared to Shea Weber's 25 minutes and 18 seconds per game, that is phenomenal, especially for a sophomore player who a lot of people coming into this playoffs were writing off. Like I did a Jesperi Kotkaniemi video yesterday. Check it out if you want to. I find it crazy that people were calling this kid a bust just because he got sent to the AHL in his sophomore season. It's called the sophomore jinx for a reason. He's not the first good player that has happened to. But anyways, I'll get off that topic. Paul Byron is the 3rd leading scorer for the Montreal Canadiens. He has 1 goal, 3 assists, 4 points, is a +5 with a 12.5 shooting percentage and an average time on ice of 14 minutes and 52 seconds per game. But I do have to mention, Byron has not been much of a factor so far against the Philadelphia Flyers. He did all of his damage against the Pittsburgh Penguins. So I'm really hoping depth players like Byron and Lehkonen can step it up a bit for the Habs, especially in tonight's game. They've been great so far in the playoffs, but so far in the past 2 games at least against the Flyers, even though the Habs had the 5-0 blowout, I haven't seen a ton of light from Paul Byron. Carey Price has been unreal in these playoffs. In 7 games played, he has 4 wins, 3 losses, a .953 save percentage. He has 2 shutouts and a 1.40 goals against. And I also have to mention, he's yet to be beat clean in this series. All the goals so far in the series for the Flyers have been off deflections or a player screening Carey Price in front of the net. He's yet to be beat clean in this series. And in Philly, we get into their scoring leaders. It's very surprising who the scoring leaders are for Philly, and it's continuing in this series. Scott Laughton, he's a big physical player, but I wouldn't expect him to be the scoring leader with the names Philly have. He's the scoring leader for the Philadelphia Flyers in 6 games played so far in the postseason. Well, the qualifying round and this series, I'm just going to count it all as the postseason. In 6 games played, he has 3 goals, 2 assists, 5 points. He's a +4 with 33.3 shooting percentage, and he's averaging 14 minutes and 35 seconds per game. Kevin Hayes is their second leading scorer. In 6 games played, he has 0 goals, 4 assists, 4 points, is a +4, has a 0% shooting average, of course, because he's yet to score a goal, and his average time on ice is 17 minutes and 30 seconds per game. And then we go into the third leading scorer, a good young rookie for the Philadelphia Flyers this year, Joel Farabee, in 4 games played, has 2 goals, 1 assist, 3 points. He's an even +- a 33.3% shooting percentage. So phenomenal shooting percentage for Farabee there. I'm not sure how many shots he's taken, but that's a very good shooting percentage in the playoffs. And he's only playing 12 minutes and 30 seconds per game. So the lower depth players are the ones stepping up for the Philadelphia Flyers in this series, except for Kevin Hayes. He's more of a top 6 player. And then we go into Carter Hart, who has been phenomenal. Played every game except for 1 so far, and Brian Elliott also played the 3rd period of Game 5 and a little bit of the 2nd. Carter Hart in 5 games played has a 4-1 record, a .949 save percentage, a 1.51 goals against, and 1 shutout. So very similar numbers to Price. Price's numbers are a little bit better, but Hart's are right there with him. This kid is stellar. He says Carey Price is his hero, and he loves playing against Price and stuff. It's showing in this series. This is an absolute goaltender duel, except for Game 2, of course. But the Habs did that for Claude. They did it for Kirk, and hopefully they'll do it again tonight. We'll get into my prediction now soon, guys. And then we go into Brian Elliott, who I don't think it by any means is going to play tonight. But if Hart were to have a bad game tonight, it wouldn't shock me to see Brian Elliott come in for Game 5, because he is a good goalie, and he has looked so good so far. He's played 2 games, 1 full game and 1 game where Hart got pulled. He has 1 win. The loss didn't count against Brian Elliott. Carter Hart got that loss. He has a .913 save percentage and a 1.47 goals against. So very good numbers for Brian Elliott. And then I got notable letdown players for each team. Players I think need to step up and help their team more. For Philly, it should be obvious. Claude Giroux, he only has 2 assists. He's usually the scoring leader every year. He really needs to step it up. He didn't have the best regular season, and he's not having the best playoffs. Konecny has been struggling. He's showing the frustration on his face in every game. He only has 2 assists. He has lots of chances, but the finishing ability just isn't there. I wrote down next to Konecny that he's snake-bitten. And then Van Riemsdyk, not a lot of people have been talking about him, but I think they expect a lot more from James Van Riemsdyk. He hasn't been battling to get to the front of the net like he's known for. He hasn't been getting them garbage goals, and so far in the qualifying round and in the playoffs altogether, he has 0 points. So it's not looking good for James Van Riemsdyk, and his +- is 0. And then we go into Montreal. Yoel Armia, for me, has been a letdown. There are things about his game I do like. He has caused a lot of turnovers. He's looked good on the penalty kill. Defensively and physically, he looks okay. But I expect a lot more for him offensively. He's more of a depth player that I do expect to step up, like Arturi Lehkonen. Paul Byron has been a good surprise, but I expect more from guys like Armia. And Lehkonen has been playing good, so I don't really expect more from him. But Armia, I do expect him to step his game up. He only has 1 point, 1 goal so far in the 7 games played. And he's been demoted to the 4th line. And then secondly, he hasn't played bad. He's been battling. He's been getting to the front of the net. He's been doing everything he can to score. But the fact is, he's been the Habs' leading goal scorer for 2 years, 3 years running now, I believe. And he just hasn't been able to get the job done in the playoffs when it comes to scoring goals. Brendan Gallagher does have 3 assists. I do like what I see from the guy, but he hasn't been able to finish. He has a goose egg when it comes to the goals, so I would really like to see Brendan Gallagher get his first goal. And tonight, I think he will. I think the Montreal Canadiens will play a tight, defensive game. I expect it to be a low-scoring game, and I expect Carey Price to put on a show. After Carter Hart put on a show in Game 3, I expect it to be the Carey Price show in Game 4, and I'm going to pick the Habs to win 3-1. I think it's going to be a very close game. The Habs will get 2 goals. Philly will get 1. It will go down to the end of the third period. Philly will eventually pull their goalie. The Habs will get that third goal, and they'll win the game 3-1. That's how I think it's going to go, and my first star of the game, I think, will be Brendan Gallagher. I think he will stay the pump and get a goal or 2. He's hungry. He's battling to get in front of the net, and he's due to get a goal, and somebody like Gallagher will eventually get a goal in this series. So anyways, guys, let me know what you think of tonight's game. Let me know what you think of how it's going to go, and let me know what you think of the playoffs so far. I've been very impressed with Montreal, and I'm very excited to see tonight's game. This is Open Ice Hits with Scotty 2 Hockey. Have a great day, and stay safe wherever you're to. Over and out, folks. Go Habs, go, baby. Can't forget that. Woo!